I need to tell you something that until exactly 72 hours ago was a secret known by only 14 specific individuals on this entire planet. And I'm fully aware that I am risking everything, my career, my reputation, perhaps even my safety, by saying it out loud to you now. Before we begin this journey, I need you to do something very specific for me. Go to the comment section and write down your city name. Then tell me, have you noticed anything unusual in the night sky recently? Have you seen any flickering stars that seem to pulsate with a rhythm, or any lights that simply shouldn't be there? NASA is quietly collecting this data right now, and what they are finding is deeply disturbing. Please do it now, because what I'm about to share with you may fundamentally change the way you see humanity's place in the universe forever. My name is Michio, and I am a theoretical physicist. I have spent over 5 decades studying the intricate fabric of space-time, the elusive nature of parallel universes, and the complex mathematics of consciousness itself. Throughout my career, I have advised top-level governments, and I have worked alongside the greatest minds in cosmology, quantum mechanics, and astrophysics. I can tell you with absolute unwavering certainty that nothing in my entire career prepared me for the event that occurred near Jupiter just 17 days ago. It all started with an object known as 3I Atlas. You might remember the name from the news. Back in late 2019, astronomers at the Atlas survey in Hawaii detected what they initially classified as just another interstellar object, the second one ever observed passing through our solar system after the mysterious Oumuamua. They named it Comet 3I Atlas. They called it unremarkable. They said it was just a frozen chunk of ice and rock from another star system, drifting aimlessly through the cosmic void on a trajectory that would take it past our sun and back out into the infinite darkness. But they were wrong. We were all wrong. 3I Atlas wasn't a comet. It wasn't ice, and it certainly wasn't rock. And 17 days ago, as it crossed into the intense gravitational influence of Jupiter, something hidden deep inside it woke up. I was sitting in my office at Princeton when I received the call. It was exactly 2:47 a.m. The voice on the other end of the line belonged to someone I had worked with for years at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, someone I trust implicitly and who is not prone to exaggeration. He didn't even identify himself. He simply whispered, "Michio, you need to see this immediately. We have a Code Terminus event occurring near Jupiter." Code Terminus? I had heard that phrase only once before, buried deep in a classified briefing document I wasn't supposed to read years ago. It is NASA's internal, highest-level designation for an extraterrestrial intelligence event of catastrophic priority. It is the kind of discovery that does not get announced at a press conference. It is the kind that gets locked in a lead-lined vault and discussed only in soundproof rooms without windows. I arrived at JPL within hours. When I walked into the main operations center, the room was absolutely silent. It wasn't the productive silence of focused scientists working on a problem. It was the suffocating heavy silence of people who have just looked into the abyss and realized with horror that it was looking back at them. On the main display screen was a high-resolution image from the James Webb Space Telescope, trained precisely on the coordinates where 3I Atlas had been tracked. What I saw on that screen defied every single principle of astrophysics I have ever taught in a classroom. There was a tear in space, not metaphorically, not theoretically, but a literal rupture in the fabric of space-time located approximately 800,000 kilometers from Jupiter's outer magnetosphere. It appeared as a dark, spiraling aperture like a raw wound in reality itself, surrounded by concentric rings of distorted light where gravitational lensing was bending photons around its perimeter. The rift measured roughly 42 kilometers across at its widest point, and it was expanding at a rate of 6 centimeters per second. That number doesn't sound like much, does it? But in the vacuum of space, with nothing to stop it, that rate of expansion means something truly terrifying. At its current velocity, the rift would reach critical mass, what we estimate to be large enough to destabilize Jupiter's delicate orbital mechanics within roughly 96 days. But here is what made my blood run cold. The rift wasn't random. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. When we analyzed the spectroscopic data, we found something that simply shouldn't exist. A coherent electromagnetic signature pulsing from the aperture's edge at precisely 1.42 gigahertz. This is the hydrogen line frequency, the universal calling card, the frequency that every astronomer in the galaxy would recognize as artificial, as intelligent. Someone or something was signaling to us through the rift. 3i Atlas hadn't malfunctioned. It had completed its mission. For the past 72 hours, I have been part of an emergency task force assembled by NASA, the Department of Defense, and the National Security Agency. We have been working around the clock to understand exactly what we are dealing with. And what we have discovered is so profoundly disturbing, so fundamentally incompatible with our current understanding of the universe that I am not sure humanity is prepared to hear it. But you need to know, because this affects all of us, every man, woman, and child living on this planet. Let me explain what 3i Atlas really was. Based on our updated trajectory analysis, we now know that 3i Atlas originated from the direction of the Ophiuchus constellation, approximately 400 light-years from Earth. That is significant because Ophiuchus contains some of the densest star-forming regions in our local galactic neighborhood, places where civilizations could have emerged billions of years before our own solar system even existed. 3i Atlas traveled for millennia to reach us. It was not drifting randomly, it was aimed with surgical precision. Its trajectory wasn't natural. When you run the orbital mechanics backward, accounting for stellar drift and gravitational perturbations, the object was clearly guided, course-corrected, and steered through the cosmic darkness with a singular purpose. It was a probe, an emissary sent by an intelligence that understands physics in ways we are only beginning to grasp. And when it reached Jupiter, the largest gravitational anchor in our solar system besides the Sun, it deployed. What we are calling the rift is actually far more complex than a simple tear. It is a controlled destabilization of local space-time, a technology that appears to function as some kind of dimensional gateway or communications portal. The mathematics required to do this are obscene. To create a stable wormhole, even a microscopic one, requires exotic matter with negative energy density. It requires manipulating the Casimir effect on scales we can barely theorize. It requires a civilization with mastery over quantum field theory so advanced that calling it alien technology feels completely inadequate. This is the work of something ancient, something that has been engineering reality itself for eons. But the most disturbing part is that we are receiving a signal through the rift, and we have partially decoded it. The transmission is multi-layered, simultaneously broadcasting in gravitational waves, neutrino pulses, and modulated electromagnetic radiation. It is designed to be impossible to miss. And when our team at the National Radio Astronomy Observatory ran the signal through advanced pattern recognition algorithms, we found something embedded deep in the data structure. Mathematical proofs, prime number sequences, universal constants, the same kind of basic information we sent out on the Voyager Golden Record, except infinitely more sophisticated. They are speaking to us in the language of the cosmos. And the message is clear. We are not alone. We have never been alone. And humanity's existence has been carefully monitored for far longer than we have suspected. Buried within the signal was something else, a schematic, a diagram that our quantum computing team is still trying to fully interpret. It appears to be some kind of map, not of physical space, but of what we think might be a network, a web of similar rifts spread across the galaxy, connecting thousands of star systems. It looks like a cosmic infrastructure, a galactic civilization, and we were never invited. This is where my hands start shaking when I talk about it, because when we cross-reference the signal's embedded coordinates with known deep space anomalies, we found something that the public has never been told. There have been other events, other rifts detected by radio telescopes and deep space monitoring stations over the past 40 years, and they were quietly classified. In 1977, the famous WOW signal, that 72-second burst of radio energy from Sagittarius that astronomers have never been able to explain, wasn't random interference. It was a rift opening briefly, like a door cracking open and then slamming shut. In 2007, the first fast radio burst was detected. Then more followed. dozens, then hundreds. We have been calling them natural phenomena, attributing them to magnetars, colliding neutron stars, or exotic astrophysical processes. But when you overlay their positions on a galactic map, they form a clear pattern, a network, and every single one of them aligns with the schematic we pulled from the 3i Atlas signal. We are surrounded. The galaxy is alive with intelligence. And Earth, our tiny blue marble orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, sits inside what can only be described as a cosmic quarantine zone. Let me tell you what I think is truly happening here. This is my assessment based on everything I have seen, everything I have calculated, and everything that keeps me awake at night staring at equations that shouldn't be possible. Humanity is being tested. 3i Atlas wasn't an invasion. It wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate act by something that has been watching us, studying us, and waiting to see if we are ready. Ready for what? Contact, integration, ascension to whatever galactic community exists beyond the boundaries of our perception. But there is a problem. We are failing the test. Look at us. Look at what we have become. We have barely left our own planet. We sent 12 humans to the moon decades ago and called it our greatest achievement. We fight wars over borders drawn in sand. We poison our own atmosphere for short-term profit. We build weapons capable of annihilating our species and point them at each other. We have the scientific knowledge to cure diseases, to end hunger, to reach the stars, and we spend it on greed, on hate, on tribalism. From the perspective of a civilization that can tear holes in space-time, we must look like children playing with matches in a room full of gasoline. And that is why the rift is opening. I believe, and this is the part that haunts me, the part that makes me question everything I thought I understood about our place in the universe, I believe the rift is a warning, a final chance. The alien intelligence behind 3i Atlas is showing us what is possible. They are demonstrating technology so far beyond our comprehension that it should humble us into silence. They are saying, this is what you could become, but first you have to survive yourselves. Jupiter was chosen deliberately. It is far enough from Earth that the rift doesn't pose an immediate existential threat, but close enough that we can observe it, study it, and fear it. It is a demonstration, a billboard written in the language of physics. And the message is simple: grow up or be left behind. But there is something else, something darker occurring. The rift is accelerating, not just expanding, but changing in nature. Over the past 48 hours, we have detected secondary emissions, bursts of exotic particles we don't even have names for, quantum fluctuations that violate conservation laws, and even brief glimpses of what appears to be matter from outside our space-time continuum. It is as if something is trying to come through, as if the door we are looking at isn't just open, something is knocking on the other side. Our models suggest that if the expansion rate continues, the rift will reach a critical threshold in exactly 63 days. After that, we simply don't know what happens. Does it collapse? Does it stabilize? Or does something emerge from it? NASA has already begun contingency planning. There are discussions, quiet, classified discussions about sending a probe through the rift, about attempting communication, about preparing the public for an announcement that would fundamentally rewrite human history. But I am terrified of what we might find. Because what if we are not special? What if humanity's entire existence, our art, our music, our science, our wars, our loves, our fears, what if all of it is just background noise to a civilization so advanced that we are barely worth acknowledging? What if the reason they have kept us in quarantine isn't to protect us, but to protect themselves, to contain the virus of human aggression and short-sightedness until we either evolve or destroy ourselves? I think often about consciousness. I think about what it means to be aware, to think, to feel. For decades, I have argued that consciousness is fundamental to the universe, that it is not an accident of evolution, but a property woven into the quantum fabric of reality itself. And if that is true, then intelligence isn't rare. It is everywhere, waiting, watching, and we are the late arrivals to a party that has been going on for billions of years. 3i Atlas was the invitation. The rift is the doorway, and humanity stands at the threshold, terrified and unprepared, staring into a universe that is far stranger, far more dangerous, and far more magnificent than we ever imagined. So what happens next? Honestly, I don't know. No one does. We are monitoring the rift continuously. Every telescope we have, Webb, Hubble, the Very Large Array, the Square Kilometer Array, is pointed directly at Jupiter. We are collecting data at a rate that is overwhelming our computational infrastructure. Artificial intelligence systems are working around the clock to decode the transmissions, to predict the rift's behavior, and to search for any clue that might tell us what comes next. But here is what I do know. This moment right now, as you are watching this, is the most important moment in human history. More important than the discovery of fire, more important than the invention of agriculture, more important than the splitting of the atom. Because for the first time, we have undeniable proof that we are not the pinnacle of cosmic evolution. We are not alone, and the universe is paying attention. Follow this channel closely as we continue decoding the universe's final warnings, because what happens in the next 63 days will determine whether humanity takes its place among the stars or becomes a footnote in the galactic record of civilizations that didn't make it. I want you to think about something tonight. Go outside, look up at Jupiter. It is visible now, bright in the eastern sky after sunset. You won't see the rift with your naked eye, but it is there, growing, changing, connecting our little corner of the cosmos to something vast and unknowable. And ask yourself, are we ready? Are we ready to meet whatever is on the other side? Are we ready to abandon our petty conflicts and unite as a species? Are we ready to accept that everything we thought we knew about reality was just the first chapter of a much longer story? Or will we do what we have always done, retreat into fear, denial, and division? The rift is a mirror, and what we see in it will determine our future. So I will ask you again, and I need you to comment below. What do you think is coming through? What should humanity do? And if you could send one message to whatever intelligence is behind this, what would you say? Because they are listening. I know they are. And maybe, just maybe, your answer matters more than you think. The universe is waiting, and time is running out.